I choose to be a lot of things. I choose to be a disruptor because that's how change is born. I choose to be a leader because I believe leadership is a choice, a decision that you make to take care of other people. But today I want to talk about my choice to be an optimist. I choose to be an optimist. I choose to see the challenges that we face in the community and see opportunity. I choose to see the greatness that exists in our communities. And I choose to believe in the potential that every child has to do great things. I choose to be an optimist, but I struggle sometimes because we have some pretty significant challenges ahead. Our world is moving at a faster pace than we can keep up with at times. And I hear far too often from employers that when they go out to the market to look for talent, they often have a gap between the jobs that they have and the jobs that need to be filled and the workforce that's not prepared for these jobs. And that's today. In just a few months, we will be in the year 2020, believe it or not. For those of you that haven't been keeping up with the news, this year 2020 seems like this date that's so far ahead and so far from us that it doesn't seem real to us. But in just a few months, there's this projection that almost 60% of the jobs that will be available in the marketplace in just a few months, 60% of those jobs will require some form of higher education, some form of post-high school education, just to qualify for the minimum expectations. And so that means that more than half of the jobs that exist expect our workforce to be better prepared and equipped and trained for the jobs that are out there. So I struggle to be an optimist sometimes because there's some pretty big challenges ahead of us. I get upset when I hear that statistics for teen suicide and depression are on the rise. I get upset when I see homelessness and the amount of families that are food insecure in Orange County are growing issues for us here in this community. I get upset when I hear projections that there's 1 million unfilled projected jobs in the next few years in this field of tech. I get upset when I see kids fearful that they may not be equipped for the world that's waiting for them. I get upset, and you should as well. The way that we're preparing kids is not working for the new expectations, the new world that's waiting for them to lead. So I get upset. And I struggle with this as an optimist because I choose to look at the glass as half full, and then I remind myself that change has a formula. This formula for change only happens when we are so uncomfortable with something that we're motivated to change behavior. Change doesn't happen when everything's going great and everything is on track. Change is born when we are so uncomfortable with something that we have to change something. And so I get to then become the reverse Incredible Hulk, where I go from being upset and angry with something to becoming very optimistic and excited because we have solutions. And so the last several months, our team has gotten extremely excited, extremely focused around what the future of our club looks like. And as we look at the challenges our kids face, we have to remind ourselves that we are today making decisions, we're making investments for kids that aren't born yet, and preparing them for jobs that haven't been invented yet. Think about that for a second. We're preparing kids for jobs that don't exist today. And there's a lot of reports that are out there, and some of them are conflicting around what the actual percentage of jobs will be that don't exist today. And so some numbers have been as high as 50 or 65%, some as low as 35%, that jobs in the next 10 years don't exist right now. They just do not exist. And there's debate on what that actually means, and I'm going to simplify it for you. Of whatever that number is, let's say 35%, a portion of that are literally jobs that don't exist today. We don't know what they're called. We don't know what they will do. They literally do not exist today in our mindset. but a good portion of those jobs that are in that category are jobs that have a title like they look today, but will be completely disrupted and will be completely different than what it takes to be that in today's marketplace. So what it takes to be a doctor, a teacher, a police officer, name your profession, an entrepreneur, what it takes to do that today will look very different in the next 10 plus years. And so those are new jobs. Those are new skills. And so as a Boys and Girls Club, we have an obligation, we have a responsibility, and we have truly the privilege to be a part of families and to be a part of the partnerships that we have with the for-profit community, with school districts, so that we can bring solutions. And if our goal is to connect kids to where they are, to where they can be, then we have to be innovative and we have to be bold and we have to challenge ourselves. And so we go right back to where that zone of innovation comes from. You have to be uncomfortable with something so much so that you need to do something different. This is where innovation is born. Our College Bound initiative came out of pain. It came out of us being uncomfortable knowing how many high school students were leaving high school unprepared for the future that was waiting for them, and how many students were not actually qualified to go into a four-year university, and how many students were making a commitment to go to a college but had no understanding to how much it would cost and what it would take to be successful. One of the issues that we face in this country that very few people are talking about is college debt, and how many college students are leaving their college institution with this massive weight that's over their head. And they leave going into a career with this massive debt. And then there's also those college students that don't earn a college degree that also earn that debt and now have to pay off their student loans without that finished product. College Bound was created out of that because we were uncomfortable with the way things were. Our approach to College Bound is to have a one-to-one connection with high school students so that they can graduate on time. We can put together a plan for their future, whether it's a traditional college, a trade school, military service, but some form of higher education or career plan. And then a sustainable plan on how to fund it so that they graduate or earn their certification without any debt around their neck. Early literacy was developed and launched out of the same environment, that uncomfortableness that we have too many students not reading at grade level. And the reason that's important, the reason first through third grade literacy is so important is because this is the early foundation of what academic years are based on. So if they're not reading at grade level by the fifth grade, their odds of graduating high school, their odds of being successful in school are significantly affected. So with laser focus, we use the data that's available to us to identify the schools that are in need and the specific students that are not reading at grade level. That idea was born out of us being uncomfortable with something. And that's become the DNA of this organization. It's to take something that makes us uncomfortable, bring innovative solutions in order to see change. And so for the last 12 months, our team has been in a lab working on this new idea on what we will do and how we will become something different so that we are preparing every child and teen that we serve for the 21st century economy that's waiting for them. So you might ask yourself, how do we prepare kids for jobs that don't exist yet? How do we do that if we don't know what the jobs are? It's easy. What we do is we prepare them for the skills that they will need in order to be successful. The skills that we know are 21st century skills. We know that every student that's going through school right now will need to be flexible. They'll need to understand that life is all about ups and downs. And someone shared with me recently that life is all about starting at the bottom somewhere and working your way up to mastery and then starting at the bottom again. We all have experienced that, whether it's the first day at a new job or starting a career, starting college. There's always that first day where you know almost nothing and you start to build something and then eventually you start back at zero. Some of you are in retirement mode and are trying to figure out what retirement is supposed to be, and so you now started at the beginning again. Life is about these ups and downs. And so being flexible and adaptable will allow you to transition well between these different phases of life. We also know that communication and team building and understanding how to work with others, emotional intelligence, are the skills of the future. We work with a lot of tech companies, and we hear it almost consistently with everyone that we speak with. We can teach you the technical stuff. But if you don't know how to communicate with another person, if you don't know how to work well with others, if you don't know how to collaborate and take innovation with others, you will not be successful. You will get expelled from these workplaces because these places are here to do important work and solve complex issues, and you only get to join teams like that if you work well with others. And so I want to talk about what we believe the Boys and Girls Club is and what it stands for and what it means. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she just, in the last couple of months, hit this like lightning speed of the amount of questions that she's asking of us. Like all day, talking, all day, asking questions. Some of these questions should be written in a book because they're so awesome and they're so interesting. But I think about kids and their superpower. Their superpower of being curious. Their superpower of asking questions and without fear of what will people think of me if I ask that question. Will they think I'm stupid if I ask that question? Kids don't do that. Kids ask questions because they want to learn. They want to know things. And I want our Boys and Girls Club to be the headquarters of discovery and exploration and curiosity. I want our Boys and Girls Club to stand for that curiosity so that when kids come here, we ask them what they want to learn and we put them in this environment where they're constantly getting those light bulb moments. Imagine what would happen for a kid if we feed that curiosity instead of killing that curiosity. If instead of saying, well, why don't you keep it down? We're doing this right now. What if instead we say, you know what, that's an interesting question. Why don't we look into that? Or why don't we go learn that together? Imagine if we added fuel to curiosity and we saw what happens. And for the last several years, our Boys and Girls Club has been known for innovation because we have 3D printers and engineering programs. All of our kids are learning how to write code. Some of you don't know what that is. It's computer stuff. And so, whatever it is, right? Our kids are going through Toastmasters. We have an entrepreneurship program. We are building 21st century skills. But let me tell you something. All those programs are not what defines the Boys and Girls Club. It's the relationships that we're building, and it's how we encourage learning. And there's these terms that are really being used a lot right now: growth mindset and innovation mindset. How do we stretch kids' minds so that they can, think differently? And so I don't think that the way that we prepare kids for the 21st century is by actually teaching them specific programs and software and different process, because those things are irrelevant almost immediately when you introduce them. What we do is we teach them how to innovate, how to think, how to process, how to use judgment, how to leverage information, how to leverage partnerships and communication. What we're doing is building the skills of the 21st century so that they are prepared for the 21st century. So back to this idea of jobs that don't exist yet. We don't need to know what these jobs are today. As an entrepreneur, I don't think I can wrap my head around what it's going to look like in 10 years, and I don't really care. What I know is we always do what's best for kids. We're always committed to the journey, not the destination. We will continue to innovate. We'll continue to invest in kids that aren't born yet, and we'll continue to challenge ourselves to raise the bar for what it means to be a Boys and Girls Club and what it means to be successful for our kids. As we look to the future and what it means, I come back to me being an optimist. I look at the good in our communities. I look at the good in our kids. And I see all this greatness that's available to us and the potential that our kids have. We are not an after-school program. That is not what we are. That is not who we are. You don't just drop your kids off and hope that it sticks. We are here to change lives. We are here to build relationships so that 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, these kids remember their experience at the Boys and Girls Club, and they remember the impact that we had the relationship that they built, and how we challenge them to think bigger and to be bold. And I can tell you that when we take a young child and introduce them to this world, especially if this is a child that may be the first member of their family to go to college, if we're the one that sparked that flame, that connected them to where they can be in life, that's the mission of our Boys and Girls Club. What do? This Boys and Girls Club only operates because of partnerships. It truly is defined by the collective impact of all the for-profit partners, the philanthropists that support us, the volunteers, our community partners, our school districts. It takes all of us doing our part to make sure that every kid comes to the Boys and Girls Club and has all these resources, all these mentors, and the support system that they benefit from. And so I want you to imagine with me for a second. Imagine what it would be if in this community, if in Orange County, no matter what zip code, imagine if every single child and teen had a mentor. Someone in their life to help when they're struggling. Someone in their life to help them move forward when they need some direction. Someone in life that's going to see the early signs of depression or suicide and intervene. Someone that knows that family is food insecure or is homeless and can get them the support that they need. Someone that is there to ask how their day is and give them that snack and show them that affection, that love that they need in order to thrive. Imagine with me what this community would look like and how every child would have this support system if they had that relationship. Imagine if every kid had a mentor and a champion in their corner to ensure that they're successful, that they thrive, and that whatever obstacle is in their way, we help them navigate that obstacle. So if I'm an optimist, I encourage you to become an optimist with me, and I encourage you to help me ensure that every child becomes an optimist. We have enough people that tell us what we can't do and why we can't do something. Be a part of something great. Be a part of change and improvement and growth. We used to define smart based on IQ, how smart someone is and how they can test. Now there's EQ, how emotional intelligent are you and how well do you understand people? And I was introduced to this new concept recently of AQ, adaptability. How well do you adapt to your environment? How well do you use your intelligence and your emotional intelligence and then apply that to the world so that you can navigate this and you can thrive and you can reach your potential? So imagine with me how this organization can have even more impact on the lives of kids in our community. And I ask you to join us. I ask you to do your part, whatever that is, whether it's sharing our information with another person, getting personally involved, helping us reach those kids that don't have their Boys and Girls Club. And I'll leave you with this. Our mission is very simple and it's concise for a reason. It's to ensure that every child has mentors and champions in life. There's another piece to it that isn't written down that I think is equally important, which is it doesn't matter what zip code you come from. It doesn't matter what your background looks like. It doesn't matter what religion you practice or what the color of your skin is. None of those things matter. Every child was put in there for a reason. It's for those kids that we're still not serving, and it's for those kids that we're serving that have come from different backgrounds. Every child deserves a mentor and champion in life, and I encourage you to help us reach those kids that still don't have access to their Boys and Girls Club. Thank you very much for being part of our family, for being a part of our impact. Our mission is your mission. Our impact is your impact. Thank you very much for all that you do to support the kids and families that depend on their Boys and Girls Club.